Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, Lamont Roach has done a world tour. I mean, he's capitalizing off of his popularity and his newfound fame to the next level that he received after the fight with Gervonta Tank Davis. In fact, I believe that even though the fight was a draw officially, Lamont Roach, though he didn't get the win in the fight, he definitely got the win with some of the boxing fans who was not a fan of his prior to entering the ring to fight Tank Davis. And this is the type of effect that fighting a Tank Davis will have on any professional fighter who come to the ring with the intentions of not laying down and with the intentions of really putting up a good performance to the best of their ability. I mean, we've seen this movie play out time and time again. I mean, look at Rolly Romero. Yeah, some fans knew who he was because he knows how to turn it on and turn it off for the cameras. He know how to use his mouthpiece to galvanize people to listen to him and even ultimately culminate into fans buying the ticket. But he gained more notoriety and more popularity after his fight with Tank Davis, even though he gave his best performance to the best of his skill set before he got TKO'd. Even Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz is the first professional boxer who actually went 12 rounds with Tank Davis without getting knocked down or hurt badly, etc. And came to fight. And not just came to fight, but he wasn't on the downside of his career. He wasn't in his latter days as a professional boxer. Definitely on the rise and in his prime. When I say the first fighter, let's be clear on the categories. But he gained more notoriety and more popularity after fighting Tank Davis, even though he didn't walk away with the official win. In fact, he's been on multiple pay-per-view cards competing consistently after even fighting Tank Davis because he's won more fans. I mean, look at Ryan Garcia. Yes, he already had popularity. Yes, because of his profound presence on social media. But the notoriety in the sport and in the business of boxing greatly increased after fighting Tank Davis. I mean, let's look at it for what it's worth. No matter what people say about Ryan Garcia, good and bad, Ryan Garcia is headlining the card within a month for the third time in the last several years. And so when you look at it for what it's worth, Lamont Roach is capitalizing off of his newfound popularity and his notoriety that he's gained because of his performance. Number one, giving Tank Davis the best competition that Tank has ever fought professionally thus far. His poise, and also the fact that he didn't get knocked down the fact that he didn't get knocked out, of course, but despite all of that, the fight ended in the draw. So Lamont Roach has been on multiple platforms, and he still remained the same. And that's why we have to continue to respect Lamont Roach. He just recently conducted an interview with Andre Ward. I liked Andre Ward when he interviewed the fighters. At the same time, I think that Andre Ward talks more than the guest. And then he gives his opinion and he gives his perspective instead of allowing the guest to expound on the questions that he asks. He gives more of his spill, and it dilutes some of the fighters' responses, especially the ones that are not as talkative. And so I think that he can improve in that area. But nonetheless, Lamont Roach did a good job in the interview. And I just wanted to just piggyback on something real quick, because he said a lot of things that we can dissect, and I don't want to do that because it's not necessary. The thing is that Lamont Roach have to realize is that, yes, his performance was good. No question about it. But Lamont Roach has to realize that he could have done more than what he done in that fight to actually secure the win, opposed to leaving it in the hands of the referee who did not count Tank Davis taking the knee as a knockdown. In other words, is if the referee would have considered Tank Davis taking the knee a ruling of an official knockdown, we would be having a totally different conversation, because Lamont Roach would have won officially, and of course, he would have won another title. But the scorecards was predicated off of Tank Davis taking a knee and it being ruled an official knockdown subsequently following that. And in this rematch, if this rematch actually does happen, next, that is, Lamont Roach has to basically continue to do what he was doing in the fight, but there's some other things that he cannot do moving forward in the next fight. Like, for example, when Tank Davis landed a few shots early on in the fight against Lamont Roach would put his hands down immediately and just stand there and look at Tank after he got hit. Okay, yes, maybe a sign that he wasn't hurt, but you got to protect yourself at all times. Another thing that I noticed about Lamont Roach, and I said this before, Lamont Roach started to abandon the things that were working for him by being too defensive-minded at certain points in this fight. In fact, I even noticed Lamont Roach basically taking a step back and admiring his work. I've seen that movie play out many times in this sport, most notably when James Buster Douglas started admiring his work when he fought Mike Tyson in February of 1990 in Tokyo, Japan. And because he started admiring his work and losing focus, he got knocked down by Mike Tyson. Even more recent, a few years ago, when Tony Harrison fought Jermell Charlo. Y'all remember that? In the rematch, Harrison was doing exceptionally well, and he improved from how he performed in their first fight. to the second fight in comparison. And guess what? He started admiring his work, stepping back, admiring how well he was holding up, how well he was taking certain punches in the rematch, how well he was landing that jab. And guess what happened to him when he lost focus by stepping back and admiring his work in the later rounds? He got clipped and got hurt and never got a chance to recover. And of course, the referee stopped the fight. And so moving forward in the rematch, I want Lamont Roach to realize as a professional fighter that there's nothing wrong with admiring your work. Nothing wrong with it. But you have to admire your work after the fight. And so I think that the rematch is going to be more of a definitive ruling as far as who's going to officially win, in my opinion. I think it's going to be even more decisive. No question about it. I look forward to this rematch. We know that Lamont Roach is the naturally bigger fighter. And, of course, he's going to take advantage of that as well. But Gervonta Tank Davis has a lot to improve mentally in this rematch. And I like the way that Lamont Roach is continuously staying poised no matter what platform or how big that platform is when he enters on the platform as a guest, and still maintaining humility. And that is very commendable and respectable. And we need to see more of our professional boxers. They don't have to be as calm as Lamont, but definitely be humble. I'm going to leave you all with this because I believe this is as equally as important. And this is for both Lamont and Tank. There's two things I realized years ago about boxing. Boxing will humble you if you don't humble yourself. And boxing will humiliate you if you don't humble yourself. And guess what? It's up to the athlete, the fighter, whether it be the amateur fighter or the professional fighter, to decide what journey, what road they're going to travel. You know what? I'm doing way too much talking. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.